region in general and in Egypt specifically is very difficult. We have a very social stigma about psychiatry and mental health. So anybody has a depression, all people around him told him, you have to pray, you have to be close to God.
Welcome to Seedstars podcast. Seedstars is an organization that aims to have an impact in emerging markets by supporting the local entrepreneurs, investing in their ventures, but also sharing their story globally because we really believe they are the true heroes. We'll be listening to them and other thought leaders and disruptors that are really shaping the future of tomorrow, and we hope that together we can build a sustainable impact. Before we start, I would like to thank our partner, the Human Security Division from the Federal Department of Foreign Affairs of Switzerland, who made today's episode possible.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Seedstars podcast. I'm your host, Pete Craig, and after 30 years in business, many of those spent supporting startups as a coach, a mentor, and advisor, I've been following what Seedstars have been doing for some time, and I'm really impressed and happy to support them in the work that they're doing with bringing technology and forwarding technology in the emerging markets. And today it's a real pleasure of mine to introduce a gentleman who has been working with kind of software for 4 years now, has built 2 startups. This is his second startup, and he's actually working with he's addressing a problem that's a hidden problem. And I'm not going to tell you about it. I'll let him tell you a little bit more about it, but please join me in welcoming to today's podcast, Ahmed Abu Elhaz. Ahmed, welcome.
Welcome. How are you?
So, Ahmed, let's kind of kick off just by kind of introducing your business. Your business is called Shezlong. So just tell us a little bit about what Shezlong does, what Shezlong is, please.
Shezlong, like Chaise Lounge inside the psychiatric clinic.
Okay.
Shezlong is online mental health platform. So we and the name of Shezlong, it's related in the Egyptian or Arab market by the chair inside the psychiatric clinic. So it's relative to him when they say when they hear Shezlong. It's in psychiatry. It's a mental health platform. It's okay. So this is the name behind Shezlong.
Fantastic. So Shezlong is a psychotherapy platform and giving individuals access to psychiatrists and to mental health practitioners. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
It's a mental health platform for Arab people.
So for people in Egypt, in the Middle East, and North Africa.
No, in Arab people all over the world.
Okay. Okay, I see. So it's a global platform for
Arab expats. For Arab expats all over the world. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, what was the driver behind starting a business like this? Because it isn't the first thing that you would necessarily think of when you're thinking of a technology business to create. So what was the driver for this for you?
The inspiring behind Shezlong, in 2013, I had a severe depression after a big accident, and I wanted to go to a therapist to recover. But in Egypt, it's very difficult to find a good one. So I'm searching online about any online therapy, any can support me. So I can't. I didn't find in MENA region about any like that. I'm searching on. I think about why can initiate a platform or a website. In that time, we don't have any startup mindset or any entrepreneurial mindset. I'm a developer, so I'm just make a website to connect a therapist to another clients. So this is the main idea. After that, I heard about something called startup and something called accelerator. I can't apply and take money from that. Yeah.
So I just want to ask a quick question because that's relevant, I guess, to the situation you found yourself in. Is getting access to kind of therapists and mental health practitioners, is that something that is difficult in that region? Is it something that is generally accessible? Because I know different here in the UK, it's quite commonplace, the same as in the US. But perhaps in your region, is that something that is not normally accessible? Is it unusual for people to be able to get access to psychotherapists and mental health practitioners?
In MENA region in general, and in Egypt specifically, is very difficult. We have a very social stigma about psychiatry and mental health. So many mental health is viewed by some as a crisis of a religious faith. So anybody has a depression, all people around him told him, you have to pray, you have to be close to God, and so on. Another big thing, in some Arab countries, women cannot allow to go to a therapist clinic alone.
Okay.
In Egypt, the phenomena or the misconception of mental health, that anybody goes to the psychiatric clinic, he's a crazy. So we have a lot of misconceptions about the phenomena of mental health and so on. So it's very difficult to in the streets to see the signs of psychiatric clinic and so on.
Yeah.
So
like I said at the beginning, this is kind of like your platform is solving a hidden problem. This is something that people can't openly kind of talk about, and so you're actually giving them access to tools and to therapy that they need, but can't openly talk about. Is that right?
Yes, right.
Yeah.
We are solving the solution of the accessibility. Anybody, especially women in Egypt and MENA region, can't go to the clinics. It's not normally, or without the family permissions and so on. So it's so easy to close their doors and open the laptops and talk to the therapist through Shezlong.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic. And did you know that this was such an issue before you started looking yourself, or is this just is this something that's kind of like you've become more aware of as you started to build the platform?
When I started, I don't know any business phenomena. I'm a software engineer. I have an idea, and let's do it. After that, I know the business model canvas and the value proposition and the target segments and all things. But and this is the nice thing in entrepreneurship. It's like pivoting a lot. You know everything and three things about what we are did. So when I started, it's a nice idea. I actually made online survey through my friends on social media about anybody have a mental disorder before. If you have a mental disorder before, do you go to the therapist? How much can you pay for the session price, and so on. So I like 10 questions. Where do you locate, and so on. So I see the result. It's positive, and the people can go to the therapist if they have a big issue. So this is my guidance.
Okay.
About the idea. After that, I think in 2015 the business model canvas book launched. So I read this book after launching, and I know a lot about this world: the business model canvas, the value proposition, the segments, the revenue streams, and so on.
Yeah. So I want to ask you about that, because not only have you kind of like started a business that solves a very real problem, but you've done it from a place of having kind of like no prior experience, no real kind of infrastructure to support you, from a startup perspective, from a business perspective. What was that like? Kind of like almost stepping into the unknown and trying to create a business from nothing with no real support around you.
Yeah, two things actually. It's my mentality. It's my character. I'm a risk taker. So now I want to do that. So I applied my resignation of my last work, and I give myself 6 months. If it works, okay, I'll go through. If it not, I'll come back.
Wow. So you went all in, and you kind of like cut all ties, and you really kind of like dived into this. How important do you think that is, or how important do you think that decision was to your success?
Yes, I think the main driver about the decision is my belief in mental health. My belief after my searching about a therapist, I found one and called him on Skype. He's an Egyptian therapist based in Qatar, and I see the effect of myself about the online sessions. So I'm the first customer about this concept online.
Yeah.
Yes. So I see the value proposition about myself. So I can spread this value to all people. Yeah, this is inspiring me, and this pushing me to do that things.
Sure. So what were let's just think about, from your perspective, what were the first steps you took? You kind of like, so you've realized that this is a problem. You've experienced the benefits of it by working with a therapist yourself, and you've come up with this idea, and you've already said, you started the business before you even read the book or understood kind of like about Business Canvas and all of those kind of like great resources that are out there for startup businesses. What were the steps that you took? What were the first things that you took?
I read the business model canvas, but the therapist didn't read the business model canvas. So it's very hard for them to understand what is this new things. All therapists didn't know the importance of online therapy. Is it effective or not? Yes, is it effective? I see other platforms globally like Talkspace, like Doctor on Demand, like BetterHelp, but the therapist didn't know that. But so I remembered I talked to 30 therapists. Only 3 therapists joined me. About that. I remember that I every day I went to like 10 clinics around all Cairo to talk to the therapist in that days. Now I have 200 therapists.
How did that feel at the time? Kind of like getting those no's. You said you kind of went to 30 and you got 3.
I was alone actually in the time.
Yeah.
But I think it's my journey. I think it's my journey.
What? So would you say that your kind of your passion for the product and your experience of its benefits was what drove you to continue, even though you were getting no's and you were getting pushback from the very people that you needed to make this a reality?
Actually, I realized myself this is a business. This is a real business. So I have to work hard about that. It's not a game. I know now the ecosystem of entrepreneurship. It's like, it's so easy to start the business. A lot of accelerators, a lot of mentors, a lot of supports, a lot of the ecosystem is ready. Now in last 5 years in Egypt, it's not ready at all. So this is a hard work. This is a real work. So I have to resist myself to continue. And it's a failure or success, I don't know. So I have to I have to do my homework, and let's see tomorrow what's next.
I think that's really important. What you just said is that the startup phase is exactly that. It's just the beginning. This is, and you have to treat this as a business. There's often questions around when does a startup become a kind of like grown up business. And I think you're constantly growing, and I think that's the thing that some people don't realize about business.
Yeah, actually now in management meeting, when I cash out or any financial issues, in all management team called me, you are very optimistic about this issue. So I I did that issue a lot before.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
let me ask you, you started this on your own.
Yeah, and first, yes.
How big is the team now?
We are now 40. Yeah. After 1 year from my launch, I joined Dr. Mohammed Shami. It's a medical director. He's a big psychiatry in Egypt, and I told him, "Can you join me in my venture to grab all psychiatrists and therapists in Egypt? It's a very unique idea, and you will be the famous therapist in the MENA region." After joining Shezlong, he said, "Okay, I'm with you." And he after this point, he grabbed all the famous therapists, the professional therapists in the platform, and so on. After that, I joined Mohammed Ala and Shahir. Mohammed Ala now is managing director. He's a AUCN, graduated political science from American University in Cairo, and he has a great experience in management. And Shahir is a CTO. It's graduated from German University in Cairo, and he has 10 years experience in solid technical projects. Yeah. So I first of time I have to create a solid management team, and if I do that, all teams became easy.
How important was that? Would you say that piece? That bringing those people on, especially that the psychiatrist right at the beginning. How important do you feel that's been to your success as a business?
The psychiatrist.
Well, your management team. How crucial has having a strong management team around you as a founder? How important that has been to the growth of the business?
It's very important because if anyone from the management team has a responsibility and the accountability to run his arm, for example, the medical part, the growth part, the operation part, the technical part, and from myself the strategic and the investment part. This is one, the responsibility and the accountability. Number two, the harmony between each other. We have to make a good harmony about that. We have to deal with each other like wives and husbands.
Yeah.
We stayed time more than our houses. So we have to know our characters, our mentality, our personality disorders. Actually, in the team, we did like a group therapy inside the company to know what's behind the intention of the words.
Fantastic.
I think it's very important. Yeah, I think it's very important for growing the business.
Yes, absolutely. And it's over your growth. What would you say has been the biggest challenge that you've had to overcome? So let's break this down. So the biggest challenge you've had to overcome as a business, but then also the biggest challenge that you've had personally as a founder.
As the founder, the balancing of my life. When I started Shezlong, I think after the first 4 years, I don't have any personal life. All time for my job, and unfortunately, the investors, the not investors only, the old people, when you see you as a workaholic, they grab you. Yeah, it's a good entrepreneur. It's a very persistent entrepreneur, but it's wrong. Really.
How did that impact you, and how did it impact your wider family?
Yeah, actually, I lived away from my family, so I live alone. This is number one. Number two, I don't have a nice healthy routine from my eat, from my sports, from my any hobbies. Last year I started to have some hobbies like swimming, like diving, like playing music, and so on. So I realized my personal life. I started to go into a relationships. uh, so I balance it when I created a strong management team. I have a bit time to do my hobbies and to spend part of time for my personal.
How
I
how
think
im- how important has that been as a founder? Have you noticed a difference in your performance and in your own kind of like mental health, I guess, as a result of now starting to find that balance?
yes. I think that the reason behind this unbalancing is how to manage my emotions, how to manage my fears.
Mhm.
All of us have fears about if you don't if I don't grow very fast, I will fail. So we have a lot of fears about the investors, about the employees, about the customers, about the suppliers. So the fears drives us, and this is actually this is our wrong thoughts, and our emotions drives us to that thoughts.
Mhm.
So our behaviors and the last reflect our emotions and our thoughts. So if we managed, actually, I went to a therapist to manage that, manage my emotions and manage my thoughts. If I manage my emotions very well, if I practice meditation, I practice the how to write my thoughts well in a paper and rearrange my thoughts well. I think my behavior reflects well. Uh,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I, I,
Uh,
I'm smiling, Ahmed, because after like 30 years being in business, one of the things that I know for a fact helps me and helps a number of the other my peers is doing exactly those things. Meditation, journaling, all of those things. Those are crucial, and balance is really important for
yeah.
for a founder. There is a misconception that you have to be working 24 hours a day. And I think sometimes this is to the detriment of the growth of the business, but also to the detriment of your development as a leader.
Yeah.
So I'm really quite pleased that you've said that and you've shared that. Is that something that you've rolled out within the team? Do you impress upon the team that they need to have they need to have balance in their lives?
Yes, we have some activities in our culture in the company about working from home experience and doing some sports activity, some fun activity. Uh, Definitely, all people inside the team have a free access of all therapists on Shezlong. Anytime they want to go to a therapist on Shezlong, they go to the therapist for free, uh, and so on like that. Yeah, yes. Sometime or we have a tough work about the growth, and as we can, we have to make a good activities for them to survive them, and we keep them on the company.
Yeah, if you can just kind of summarize the importance of culture within your business.
uh, as I mentioned, the culture is the first important thing, and my first priority inside the company. I think the culture is the responsibility of the CEO. In my case, I delegate the management tasks to my managing director, but the culture it's my main responsibility. How to balance the culture to all people of the company, from the management team to the office boy, and how to make how to read their needs, the employees' needs, how to read their needs from their minds, how to develop them in hard skills, how to develop their soft skills, how to develop your spiritual and mental health, and so on. So it's very important for us to look a lot about the needs of employees. I think any behavior came from the needs, their personal needs. My personal needs drive me to do that action. So if you know their emotional, their psychological needs, they can drive them to the right destination.
Do you feel, so you said you've got 40 members of staff now. Do you feel a pressure with do you feel a responsibility with that number of people, like working for your business?
Yeah, a lot. Yes, in terms of cash flow management, I had to pay salaries every month. I have to keep them in a good performance. I have to empower them to break the conflicts between each other. Between each others and so on. So it's a very responsibility. And I'm a 33. I'm not big. I'm not small. So it's a big responsibility for me to carry this kind of cash, the big cash flow, the running the operations, running the customers from 70 countries, running the therapists from 18 countries, running more than 10 investors and more than 10 potential investors, and half a million cash running, and so on. I think it's a big responsibility, but this is our way. Okay. Yeah. When I see my pressure, and so here and now I'm okay. Here and now I have small tasks, I have to do it. So the concept of here and now helps me a lot. Tomorrow, I don't know what tomorrow will be, but here and now I have 2 tasks, so I have to do it. Only.
That's a great way to break things down and just deal with what's happened, what you can focus on now, because otherwise you can let things get away with you. They can escalate, and then you create scenarios that that you have no control over. I want to ask you another question. That's what kind of support do you have in your region? Are there peers? Are there other startup founders that you get to spend time with, that you can compare notes with, that you can interact with, that like support each other? Because I know how important that is within the startups, and even within the business world. Having peers that you can spend time talking to is vital to helping you grow.
Yeah, I think we have a lot of support from the ecosystem now, from nice mentors. We have nice mentors in all aspects of marketing, financial management, HR, and so on. And from other CEOs, from 6 months or 8 months ago, we created a group, a private group called CEO Supporting Group. It's like group therapy for CEOs in Egypt. We meet. We have a private WhatsApp group to talk a lot. Anybody have an issue with anything inside his startups? Anybody need support? We support him, and we have meeting each month, discussing something inside our companies, like fundraising, like HR, like culture, like some specific legal issue.
So you're learning from each other's experiences. So that kind of helps shorten that kind of learning curve for all of you by sharing those experiences. A little bit like a mastermind.
Yeah, it's intense learning, because we are a small group. It's like 15 CEOs, and all of us needs each other a lot. So it's very, very important for us. Yeah.
Okay. What's next for Shezlong? What does the next 6-12 months hold for the growth of Shezlong?
Okay. From Shezlong, we have our vision of Shezlong actually to be a hub the wellness in the MENA region, or in Arabic language all over the world. Wellness from two sides: the therapist side, the supplier side, and the demand side. So from the demand side, we have now a video conferencing therapy. After 6 months, we launched the texting-based therapy. And after that, we will launch the meditation app like Calm, but in Arabic, for Arab people. On the other side, on the therapist side, we have to we have a big issue in the MENA region about two things. In the supplier side, the number of suppliers is very low. For every 100,000 patients, we have only 0.4 therapists.
Yeah.
It's very hard. So we encourage the students from the universities in medicine and universities with psychology departments to grab them onto Shezlong and provide them a good quality of training. We cooperated with big institutions in the United States to bring us there. There are the big training institution of mental health all over the world. So we are cooperating with them to bring them the materials, training materials to our psychologists, to bring them to do training to our therapists. So
Fantastic.
we need to be a hub of the training for the therapist, to raise the qualifications of the therapist in the MENA region generally.
Fantastic. So
this our vision.
So this is much more about just creating a therapy platform. Actually, what you're moving towards is an education hub as well as a wellness hub. So you're not just concentrating on mental health, in the psychotherapy sense, but also through meditation and through these other mindfulness type techniques.
Yes, the behind the psychotherapy, it's a 360 it's a 360 platform. The treatment, or it's one of the cycle. We have cycle of awareness, we have cycle of diagnostic. So and the other plot of the cycle is the supplier.
Yeah.
So we are now concentrating in therapy, in treatment. So we need to close the cycles of the wellness cycle.
Yeah. Yeah. Fantastic. Okay. I want to ask you three final questions. And the first one is, and I know most founders love this question because most founders have huge visions. So I want to test how big your vision is. What's the impact that you're hoping to have?
The impact actually from my business came from the business itself, helping people to be better. I'm very glad, and I'm very happy. Every morning, some customers send an email or a message on Facebook. You saved my life from Shezlong. So it's very, very touchy for me to hear that from anybody. Every day, someone committed suicide and go to Shezlong to ask for help. I think this is the impact for us. Yes, I know that it's nice to impact for all society, but my important is the human itself. If I affect in one person, if I save the life of one person, it's my impact. And this is my, if I die now and I save one person, it's mean me a lot. Okay. So I need to grow my business to save more lives, more persons. Last days we created a corona campaign for all people have a trauma and have an anxiety about the corona. Yesterday, 500 people applied to free sessions for that. So we every day we think about how to save lives. That's it.
Cool. That's amazing. So the next question then kind of leads off from that. What are your values? What drives this from a value perspective for you?
Persistence, my first value. Transparency, honesty, persistency.
And finally, as one of Seedstars' own heroes in business, I'd like to ask you, who's your hero?
Actually, someone asked me, what is your role model yesterday? I think a lot. I don't have my role model, actually. Really. Because I developed myself a lot. Last year I maybe Bill Gates. That's the year before, maybe Steve Jobs. But I don't have my role model in whole my life. But I learned from a lot of people. One of my investors, I learned him from something in his character. One of my colleague, I learned from him something in his character, and so on. But I don't have my hero. This is my perspective. Yes.
So it's almost like you take influence from different people rather than kind of like trying to model just one person.
Yes.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Okay. Because nobody is complete.
Very true. Very true. So Ahmed, thank you so much for joining us today. It's been an absolute pleasure getting to know you and understanding a little bit more about what has driven your the creation of Shezlong, and to understand that actually this is a passion for you. And I think in my experience, the businesses and the startups that go on to have the most impact in the world are those businesses that are born of a real passion, and they're built from solving a real problem. And that's exactly what Shezlong is doing. It's solving a problem that isn't being addressed. It's solving a problem that, in your region, in your culture, is not openly spoke about. So I really honor you for kind of like pushing that forward and addressing that problem, and for the impact that you're having. If you are listening and you've enjoyed this podcast, then please tune in. There are lots more to come. I do hope you've enjoyed it, and we look forward to seeing you again. Thank you so much, Ahmed.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Thank you for listening to our hero's journey, and subscribe now for more stories on Seedstars Podcast.